Are you sitting at your desk while you watch this presentation? Because if you are, I hope you have a slightly better posture than the man here on the screen. But if you don't, please do not take it personally. We all look like this man at some point during the workday. We slouch over in our uncomfortable chairs, we lean over on our uncomfortable desks, and we also type on our uncomfortable keyboards. But aside from not wanting to be mistaken for this man in the office, there are several reasons why you should be concerned about your bad posture and your uncomfortable work furniture. Even more so, your employer should be concerned about an ergonomic design for the office that helps you, the employee, be comfortable while you work. Let me explain why. A poorly designed office can reduce your work quality and productivity in the short term and lead to injuries in the long term. If your job requires you to sit at a desk and type on a computer all day, a comfortable workspace is essential. That doesn't mean your boss should order your recliner and put it next to your desk, but it does mean that your work area should be well designed and properly adjusted. Don't be misled by the idea that a comfortable work environment requires drastic changes and big spending. Simple adjustments to your desk can greatly improve your work experience. Although the trendy and high-tech furniture might seem like it's necessary, it doesn't have to be the first step in the transition to a more ergonomically friendly office. And now let's take a look at some quick fixes to help improve our posture and comfort. Here are two very hard-working employees. As you can see, the man on the left has got some serious posture problems. Specifically, his eyes are not level with the screen, his head, shoulders, and hips are not aligned vertically, and his feet are not flat on the floor because his chair is pulled too far away from the desk. But on the other side, her keyboard is at a height that is level with her elbows. Her monitor is at a higher height, and it's also larger, so her eyes are level with the screen. Her chair is tucked in closer, and her feet are flat on the floor, which is a much better posture to be in. But these adjustments might seem a little robotic at first, but I really challenge you to see how just even one of these changes, these minor changes, can greatly improve how you experience work. An improved posture will boost your productivity and quality of work while reducing the risk of injuries. You're probably wondering what could possibly be dangerous about rolling around in a chair, but let's take a look at the next slide first. Musculoskeletal disorders, or MSDs for short, result from tasks at work that call for repetitive movements, overexertion, or repeated exposure to awkward postures. They also accounted for a third of the total workplace injuries and illnesses in 2013. Carpal tunnel syndrome, tendonitis, muscle strains, and low back injuries are just some of the most common examples. If these types of injuries could be reduced by your employer, workers' compensation costs would drop significantly. Even if just half of these injuries could be prevented, wouldn't that be worth the effort? Considering that workplace injuries cost employers close to $1 billion every week, I think it might be worth taking a look at. Unfortunately, though, there's a misconception that the only way to make an office more comfortable for employees is to spend and spend and spend. At that point, it costs more to the employers than what they gain back in productivity. This is a false narrative, and here is just one example of why. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Kansas. They are an insurance agency that started with small-scale improvements and progressed to larger upgrades that enhance employee comfort. Starting in 1991, their dedication to facilitating work safety and overall employee health has cut their injury costs and claims greatly. In one decade, it dropped from $526,000 all the way down to $137,000. The number of claims were also cut in half. Their success can be attributed to a couple of key factors. They began with the purchase of 900 chairs that were considered more ergonomically correct than their previous models. Just a few years after that, they began designing workstations specifically to improve employee comfort, and they didn't stop there. Larger computer monitors were purchased a couple years after to reduce eye strain and simultaneously increase the employee productivity. And in 1999, a company-wide stretching program was brought into existence, where twice a day employees get led through a series of stretching exercises to improve their blood flow. By 95, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Kansas had an exercise facility available 24/7 to all of its employees. These aren't even all of the courses of action that they have taken to facilitate employee health, but the takeaway is that they started with small improvements and took on larger upgrades as they saw results. Every employer should have a desire to reduce workplace injuries, and one of the best ways to do it is to facilitate employee health and safety. A more comfortable office isn't the only solution, but I think you would agree it's an excellent place to start. Greater productivity and quality of work are just some of the benefits that are a result of an ergonomically designed office. You can also reduce the number of injuries and workers' compensation costs as well, without having to invest a large sum of money up front. Finally, it is the ability to make improvements gradually that should make an ergonomically designed office the next thing that you bring up at your work meeting.